recording. All right, so let's get started. RattleCast. So before we do anything, I just want to say the RattleCast thing, that came from 2D UK, and I'll go ahead and put a link to his channel in the video. He sent me a couple suggestions, and we stuck with this one. So yeah. Anyway, I'm Cobradvs. Tyler is the name, and
I am Neoflynn, also known as Nick.
Okay, so now right here normally is where we would read comments, but because this is the first episode, we don't have any comments to read from the previous video, so we're going to go ahead and get right into news stories. In the first news story I have written down is the utterly blown out of proportion debate of Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3.
The greatest debate in the history of first-person shooters.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about this?
Really, to me, it's like EA is just trying to get their name out there, and it's like, just make a good game and people will play it. You know, you don't need to go after the competition the way they are. Like, just make your game good, and then we'll all go play it. But, you know, you don't have to throw stones at the other people making their game, you know?
That's true. They are hitting them pretty hard, aren't they? I mean, I gotta be honest. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a brown egg arguing with a white egg. You know, they're both eggs, and they're both pretty much... They're probably going to be both like the same game.
Yeah,
anyway.
Pretty much. I mean, I played Modern Warfare and I played Battlefield 2, and you know, they're both good. Battlefield 2, my only problem with it was I didn't get to play multiplayer because I got it from GameFly, and EA is stupid, and they make you pay $10 to play online.
You have to have that online pass, right?
Yeah, so I can't tell you how good Battlefield's multiplayer was, and I'm not going to go out and buy a game if I don't know if it's any good, you know. So
that's right. That's
my only issue with Battlefield 2 was, you know, the first player was pretty good. I don't know if it was as good as like Modern Warfare, but
yeah,
I did like the squad-based elements of it and how it mixed up what character you were playing. But
yeah,
you know, they're both good in their own right.
The thing with me and war shooters is, I don't want to say Call of Duty ruined it, but they definitely didn't help, because with a new Call of Duty comes out every year, and then you have like games like Battlefield 3, Medal of Honor, that Homefront game. Those are coming out too. So we have like, you know, 5 or 6 coming out a year.
Yeah,
and it's like so overblown that
overload.
And I mean, I guess that's why I like Halo a little more, because technically it is a war shooter, but it's just a different type of war.
Yeah, it's not reality-based. It's, you know...
Right. To me, that's a lot more entertaining.
Yeah.
And apparently the Modern Warfare 3 Hardened Edition contents, they were leaked on the internet a few weeks ago. And this is what you're going to get if you get the Hardened Edition. You'll get 1 year of Call of Duty Elite. And I still don't know what that is.
It's basically like... It's kind of like what Bungie does with their website, where it's got integration with the game. I mean, I'm sure it's on a much more in-depth level because they're making you pay for it.
Oh, like it keeps track of your stats and
Yeah,
things?
It keeps track of your stats, and like you can go back and look at your, you know, your stats from all the games you played that night or whatever. I think. I mean, I haven't done any research into it, but that's my general idea of what it's supposed to be.
Oh, that's kind of cool, I guess. But, I mean, I wouldn't pay for that, I don't think.
Oddly enough, I actually got invited to do a beta test of that, so I'll have to look deeper into that. I got an email, but I haven't done anything with it, so...
Yeah, okay. All right, so you get the 1 year of Call of Duty Elite. You get a Juggernaut avatar outfit. I don't know. I never got into the avatar outfits, because, again, you have to pay for them. And I've only bought one thing, and it was a hat. So,
all my stuff I get for free from achievements, and that's all I ever put on my avatar.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. The next thing is it comes in a steel case. Now, that's probably my favorite thing out of the whole deal, because I love the steel cases. I remember when I got the limited edition of Doom 3, and it came in a steel case. It was a seller for me. You get 100 pages of sketch art and a different disc. You have different disc art, so the disc looks different. You know, I don't know how much it is, but aren't they usually like 80?
Usually, like there's the normal edition, which is the 60, and then they usually have, you know, the mid-range collector. Like they did the same thing with like Halo Reach and stuff, and that one's usually like $79.99, and then you've got your Uber edition, which is like $150.
Yep. So. You know, I'm looking at this, and I got to be honest. I don't know if I would spend $20 extra, because you know, the only thing here that appeals to me is the tin case. Yeah. I don't know if I want to spend $20 for it.
Is that worth $20?
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on to the next story, which is Doom. making headlines, after like 20 years.
20 years after the
It's
fact.
now available to play in Germany. I guess it was banned in Germany when it came out in 94. I think it was 94. It might have been 93, but
Yeah.
when it came out, it was banned in Germany, and it just got released in 2011. So, like,
Which I'm sure everyone will run to go. Anyone that's wanted to play it, I'm sure already has illegally downloaded it and played it anyway.
yeah. And if you haven't played Doom, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. It's just so awesome. And you can play it on any console in the world, too.
Yeah.
It's on everything.
I mean, really, it doesn't make any sense as to why they would have banned it in the first place. Like, I could see them banning, like, Wolfenstein.
You know what? I was watching, I think, a news video online where they, somebody had mentioned that in the comments. Well, what about Wolfenstein 3D? That game's plastered with, like, swastikas and hit.
Swastikas everywhere.
Yeah. And then I think one of the final bosses is a robot Hitler. So
Yeah.
It was pretty bizarre. I don't know why they picked Doom.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of stupid. All right, so next is Borderlands 2 is announced, and that's kind of been out for a little bit, but did you play Borderlands 1?
I absolutely played the heck out of it.
Yeah.
I actually had a buddy, and we literally played probably once a week for about 5 to 7 hours a night.
Wow.
We were both maxed out on our characters, and yeah, we played the bejesus out of that game. And
I tell you what, Borderlands, when I first got it, I was going between Borderlands or Fallout 3. And I went with Borderlands, and I've never played a Fallout game, but I think I still made the right choice because I think Borderlands appeals a little bit more to me. And I didn't play it as much as you did, I guess, but I did play it a lot. And I got to say, it was pretty fun, challenging, but it's definitely fun. And to pay $60, you get hours and hours and hours of gameplay. It's definitely worth the money.
Yeah, the only caveat that I would say to it was, you may be able to speak to this as a single player game. I probably wouldn't have played it nearly as much, but because I had a friend to go, and do everything with, it made it much, much, much more entertaining.
Oh yes, definitely. The co-op was incredible. That was that was probably the highlight. That and like the millions of guns were the highlights, definitely.
Yeah, like you literally every time you dropped an enemy, you had to run over and see what gun they dropped. And
Definitely.
we got to the point where we had the best guns probably in the game. Although oddly enough, we never saw a pearlescent weapon as much as we played it, which was supposed to be the best weapons in the game. We never saw one. So I don't know if they actually exist. I think they're a myth. But
yeah, they're like Bigfoot. I had a buddy that's into games pretty good, and he gave me some modded gun that did like an absurd amount of damage, and I was at that point that I didn't play the game too much, but I still doused in it a little. The next time I come back, there's an update for the game. They took it away. They took away my modded weapon, so I had to actually play the game right.
Yeah, it was tough, but I mean, if you got a good combination with your character, you could just own everything.
Yeah.
And we actually kind of broke the game because we had our character set up to where I could. I had a character mod that would give me infinite ammo. Basically, it automatically replenished my ammo, and then his character, he played the sniper character, and I played the soldier.
Yeah.
And he's got this bird thing that he throws out as his special attack.
Oh yeah, the Bloodwing.
Yeah, and it basically every time it hit something, it would drop a ton of money and a ton of. So we had all the money in the game, and we had unlimited ammo, so pretty much we could just annihilate anything. So I think we pretty much broke the game at one point, but
Yeah.
it was still a blast to play. So yeah, Borderlands 2 is going to be.
It's got a lot of hype so far. I think it'll probably be a pretty big game.
Yeah, and crazily enough, they haven't really revealed that much. Like, they've given us one character class, and they basically said the story is going to revolve around the previous characters, the characters in the previous game. Mm-hmm. And that's really all they've said, and yet we're all geeked about it. So I think that says something for it.
I don't know if it'll be like a day one deal for me. I might, wait a little bit, maybe for like a holiday or, my birthday or something.
I think it'll definitely be day one for me. So.
Okay, all right. Next is Gearbox, who made Borderlands, oddly enough, but made Duke Nukem Forever announced another Duke Nukem game. I don't have the title or anything, but apparently Duke Nukem Forever, it made money. As absurd as that sounds, but it made money, and they are doing a sequel. Did you play Duke?
I'm actually, oddly enough, playing it right now. I have it from GameFly as we speak. So.
Okay. What do you think?
You know, it's old school Duke, and if you hold it up to other first-person shooters, I would say it's very mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
But as like a fan service game, I think it serves its point. But what excites me about this is that Gearbox can actually, take what they do and put a Duke Nukem skin on it, and I think that'll actually work a lot better rather than doing what they did with this, which was take a 20-some-odd-year-old game and try and just make it and put it out. So.
Right. I think if Duke Nukem Forever had come out, in like 99 or when it was supposed to come out in 96, I think originally, if it had come out then, it'd probably be praised a lot more. But now when you compare it to like a game like Halo Reach or Halo 3 or Call of Duty or whatever you will, or even Borderlands, it just doesn't stack up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you put it up to other shooters of the day, and it becomes very mediocre. But.
Yeah, and I don't have this written down, but have you ever played Serious Sam?
Yes.
Okay, that's like sort of like a Duke Nukem knockoff, and Serious Sam 3 actually comes out this summer. Well, this year. It's coming out later this year. I don't know the release date, and it better come out for the 360. Because I'm a huge Serious Sam fan, and I played the first one, then I got the second one on the Xbox, loved it. And I can't wait for the third one.
Yeah, that is definitely a good series and very underrated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game where you just walk into, like, a huge, like, open area and just hordes of enemies come out.
Just mow everything down.
Right, and as repetitive as it sounds, it never gets old. That's how I felt. I mean,
yeah.
But,
and much like Duke, he's, your character is spouting off one-liners left.
Oh, yeah. Right. He's cocky as hell. Okay, so next is Aliens Colonial Marines. Have you heard anything about this game?
I did read a little bit about it and watched one of the teaser trailers that they put out. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the biggest Aliens franchise fan in the world, but it does look interesting to me. And I think the squad-based element is kind of exciting.
Uh-huh. Did you play Alien vs. Predator?
I did not.
360 or the PS3 or anything?
No, I never got around to that one, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, that was a fun game, and it kind of got bashed by critics. Like, I think Game Informer gave it like a 5.75, but over in the UK, I think, was it IGN or GameSpot UK's version? They gave it an 8 out of 10. Huh. So it's definitely, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But
yeah,
I loved it. So I kind of look forward to Colonial Marines, but the thing with Colonial Marines that I don't like is that you play as a Marine, which is fine, but I think it's probably going to be just another, what do they call them, like Resident Evil, like a scary kind of game.
Yeah, like survival horror.
Survival horror, that's it. Yeah, it's just going to be kind of like that. And, I guess with Aliens it'll be a little more fun, but yeah. I'd rather them come out with a new Predator game, because that was my favorite campaign in the game, and it's just sweet with all the tools and things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And along with Colonial Marines, they also, under the radar, and very few people know about this, in fact, I didn't even know about it, is Aliens Infestation, which is a DS game.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about it until you mentioned it to me, and I went and looked it up, and it looks interesting, but the decision to put it on DS is kind of interesting to me.
Well, from what I hear, the people that made it are the same people that made Contra 4, and I never played Contra 4, but I have not heard a single bad thing about it. And it's supposed to be like a Contra type of game, and
like a side-scrolling.
And one thing that I find completely ironic is that it's almost come full circle, because the original Contra had so many ties to the Alien movies.
Right.
Now that the Alien movie is going to be like a Contra ripoff, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was interesting because the one article that I did read about Colonial Marines was like, how do you make a game based on a franchise that everyone's been ripping off for years? Which is kind of true.
That's pretty funny. Okay, and after that we have Atari, or the company that calls himself Atari now, which has nothing to do with what we know and love as Atari, is going after sites with Atari in the name. I guess I don't know if they've been, I don't know if like Atari Age and any site with the name Atari in the name. And I guess they have some sort of, copyright infringement or,
Yeah, they're sending them cease and desist letters, basically, that says take down your website. Which doesn't make any sense at all, because these are your fans.
Right.
Here they are supporting you, and you're going to send them a cease and desist letter.
Well,
it's one of those business practices that's like, why are you alienating your own fans?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like I guess this is the only example I can think of. 3D Realms, the company that was making Duke before Gearbox took over. That's like Gearbox sending everybody, a letter that has Duke Nukem in the name. It's like, 3D Realms is really the people that made Duke that we know and love, much like Atari was back in the day. And Gearbox / this new Atari, they don't really have the place, I don't think, to do what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like I said, you're alienating your own fans, and you're going to turn them against you. So it's really counterproductive to what they're trying to do.
Plus, what does Atari do now? What do they make games, right?
I think they're actually a publisher, so they're not actually making the game. They just slap their name on it and put it out, kind of like EA.
Oh,
they're the overseer basically. I think
they they make the Atari Flashback, right?
Yeah, because they still own the license. So I believe
that's sad. It's kind of pathetic.
There's no 3 coming out.
I've heard that. I think it was Maximum RD I heard talking about that, and I think they were saying they were disappointed because it doesn't have a slot for an SD card or anything. That sounds like a really good idea. If they could make that, and I know they have flash cards and things, but if they could make that, that'd be pretty cool. I might even consider buying one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, this next bit of news is a special bit of news for Intellivision Dude, because he wanted me to go ahead and put this in. There is a new Donkey Kong homebrew for the Intellivision, and it's out. I think it's in the process of being shipped out right now, and it's supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be a lot better than the original Donkey Kong on the Intellivision, which I've never played, but it's supposed to be far superior. And this guy posted a thing that said there's still some homebrews. There's still some available if you want to buy some. I don't know how much they are. I have a website here, and I'll just go ahead and post the link. And they're in a limited quantity, and there's going to be this order and then another batch after that. And, so if you want to get your fix on some Donkey Kong homebrew.
Some Intellivision homebrew.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Do you have an Intellivision? You have an Intellivision, right?
I do, but unfortunately I don't have the hookups, so...
No?
I have the console itself, but I cannot play it, unfortunately.
I'll give my quick Intellivision review. I like the Intellivision. I think it's really fun. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know. It's got everything that you want. It's got Centipede, Pac-Man,
right?
Burger Time. Whatever you want to do. It's fun. It's just simple fun, and a lot of the games are like complete knockoffs of like popular Atari games. Like
Atari games, yeah.
Like Space Armada is Space Invaders, like exactly. It's the same game. But it's definitely fun, and it has definitely a dedicated following. But what's really cool is that they kept making games even after the video game crash, and I think they kept making games all the way up to 1989. And I think it was like in 83 or 84, Mattel didn't own the Intellivision name anymore. It was INTV Corporation, and they made games like Diner and all these Super Pro games that are extremely rare, like Super Pro Wrestling and like Mud Buggies. Like Intellivision Dude shows me these games all the time that are selling. There's this game called Spiker Super Pro Volleyball. It sells for over $1,000 complete in box.
Wow.
And people are buying them too. It's not like there's no market for them. It's huge. It's kind of crazy. You wouldn't think.
Intellivision definitely has like a cult following.
It does.
Like that little group of rabid Intellivision fans that just go nuts for anything Intellivision. So
there's those.
It doesn't entirely surprise me that there's that big of a following for it.
Right. There's those Intellivision Lives games. I've never gotten those, but they do seem cool. Although I could just play them on an Intellivision, I guess.
Right.
So that's all the news stories I have. I'm sure there was more I missed, but we don't want to spoil them all in 1 week.
Right.
All right, so next thing we're going to do is Retro Game of the Week. And this is going to be where, either myself or Nick pick a retro game, and we just sort of talk about it. And I went ahead and took the liberty of picking this week's. And I went ahead and picked Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And the reason I picked Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is because I've been playing the hell out of this game lately. And I got to say, I really overshadowed this game. It is really fun. I had it a long time ago, like 6 or 7 months ago. And I played it, and I was like, I don't get the hype. It's really not that good. But I popped it in the other day, and I gotta tell you, it's awesome. Do you have it?
I do, and it's actually one of my all-time favorite series. I'm partial to Super Punch-Out on the Super Nintendo, but I do love Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as well. And I think the problem with it is that if you don't know what you're doing, it will, kick your ass. And I think that's what turns a lot of people off about it.
Yes.
Is that you have to know what you're doing in order to progress in the game. So.
Yeah, well, that's what keeps it fresh, I think, is like each fighter you have to completely play in a different way.
And you
have to figure out its pattern, which to me was a turnoff at first because I can get past the first wave, like the minor league or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I get to this big hippo guy, and I cannot beat him. You have to be good at detecting patterns.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, each character has their own pattern, and once you figure it out, it's very easy. But if you don't know what you're doing, and it can get very frustrating because it will, beat your ass before you figure it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also I have written down here, as well with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, all the Punch-Out related games, like the Punch-Out that was released a few years later, that has no Mike Tyson, and they replaced him with
they
Mr.
took Mike
Dream.
Tyson. Basically, when he got in a little bit of trouble, Nintendo was like, "Ooh, get away! We don't want you." So they re-released the game and just took Mike Tyson's name off of it. And you still fight Mike Tyson at the end. They just don't call him Mike Tyson anymore.
Isn't it? It's Mr. Dream, isn't it? Isn't that the
call?
Yeah, I'm looking at the box right now, and the guy you play, his name is Little Mac, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I guess that's Little Mac on the cover, and he's actually punching a guy that his face is cut off by the corner of the box, but you can tell it's kind of like, looks like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. And then there's Super Punch-Out, which you mentioned, and I have that, and I've hardly ever played it. How is it?
To me, it's easily one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. It's very similar to the original Punch-Out in that it's all pattern based.
Mm-hmm.
But there's little tips and tricks for each fighter where you can beat them quite easily, like in less than a second on some guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the very first guy. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played it, but as he's coming at you right at the start of the fight, if you punch him like right at a certain spot, you'll knock him out the first try. So I actually, when I used to work at GameStop, we actually had a Super Nintendo hookup in the back, and we would have competitions as to who could beat who fastest. So
that's sweet.
Yeah, it's a game that I've spent a lot of time playing. So
you know what? On a side note of not talking about Punch-Out, I really missed that GameStop that used to sell retro games back before it was like a huge corporation.
Yeah,
it used to be called Funko Land and stuff.
Yeah.
That was awesome. When I found out about that store, wow.
Yeah, they really got right from the retro market, which is
they did. I wonder why. I wonder if it was because they weren't. I mean, I guess it'd be because they weren't making money on it, but
probably not. But
it seems like now retro collecting's much bigger than it was probably back then.
Yeah,
back a few years ago. It's getting pretty big now. But anyway, back on Super Punch-Out. I've only played it a little bit. Are you subscribed to CGR Undertow on Facebook or on YouTube?
YouTube. No, I'm not.
They did a review of Super Punch-Out, and they were saying that it was an incredible game, but it was overshadowed because it came out like a week after or before Donkey Kong Country. So
I'm not sure of the timeline of it, but that would make sense.
Yeah. So they were saying that like in '94, I believe, is when Donkey Kong came out. Everybody got 94 on Super Punch-Out. So everybody got Donkey Kong, and Super Punch-Out was overshadowed.
And skipped, yeah.
Yeah. So
which happens to a lot of really good games if they have bad release dates. It's a lot of games get overshadowed like that.
It is unfortunate. That's for sure. So after Super Punch-Out, there was Punch-Out on the Wii. Have you played that?
I do own that. I haven't spent much time with it. It's the same formula once again, which it's a tried and true formula, so I guess it works. But it's a whole different cast of characters, but same style of gameplay.
I've heard that it is pretty faithful to the older ones. But I've heard that it's also pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it adds multiplayer, which was not in any of the other ones.
Multiplayer as in online or?
No, like versus, like
okay.
player on the same Wii. I don't think it has online at all. But you
That's a shame.
the same way.
The Wii needs to get its act together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the online stuff. Like all its big titles, like the two main ones that come to mind when I think of it is Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. They have it, but Punch-Out, that's almost perfect.
Yeah, and it may be in there, and I just don't know about it because the Wii makes it so hard to play.
Yeah, I think that's something they're gonna fix with the Wii U. At least I hope. That's what I've heard. Yeah, because I mean Xbox. I think Microsoft hit it spot on, hit the nail on the head with the whole online experience.
Oh, definitely.
It's incredible with the Xbox Live. It's great. So one more thing in the Punch-Out realm. Power Punch 2. Do you know about this game?
I do not.
Okay, Power Punch 2 came out a few years after Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And I don't know if it happened before or after the Mike Tyson scandal or whatever you have, but Nintendo didn't want to call it Punch-Out 2 because it was so bad. And it's called Power Punch 2, and there is no Power Punch 1. And the guy on the cover looks just like Mike Tyson. So it's not a rare game or anything like that. It's a little more pricey than average, but a lot of people don't know about it. And
yeah,
it's apparently pretty bad.
That is interesting.
I've never had the displeasure of playing it.
Just based on the cover box alone, it looks terrible.
Oh, are you looking at it?
I just Googled it. Yeah, just based on the cover box alone, I can already tell it's a terrible game. It looks like you fight a zombie.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I thought was interesting was that you travel through time, or you travel to different places, which is kind of what could be fun. It sort of takes away the realism and makes it more like 80 sort of style. But I don't know. That could be a decent idea. But I've never played the game, so I can't vouch for it. But I've heard it's just ass.
Terrible.
Yeah. But I would like to get it so I can try and get all the Punch-Out games.
Yeah, just so you can say you've played it.
Yeah, I'll be one of the unfortunate ones. Okay, so that's it for Punch-Out. Now we can move on to Nick. Actually suggested this one, the what we're playing right now, and since you suggested it, I'll let you go ahead.
Well, I mentioned this earlier that I am currently playing through Duke Nukem Forever, and I kind of gave my thoughts then, but just to reiterate, it's a mediocre shooter. There's a lot of fan service in there. It's very juvenile, which you expect that from a Duke Nukem game, but it's not a terrible game. But I think I would feel upset if I spent $60 on it. Mm-hmm. So luckily I rented it.
Yep.
And outside of that, it being college football season, I'm well addicted to NCAA 11 already. I'm actually in 3 different online dynasties where I play with a bunch of buddies of mine. So that game, if you're a sports gamer, it doesn't get any better than that. It's a perfect representation of college football. It does have its issues. There's a big issue in online dynasty right now that EA is supposedly going to patch, was already supposed to patch, but they haven't yet, where at the end of a season it doesn't save your bowl results, which kind of screws over your whole season. Yeah, but hopefully they'll get a patch out and fix that soon. And then on the retro side, I'm actually playing through Gauntlet Dark Legacy on the original Xbox, which is a game that I spent a lot of time with and never actually beat, so I'm trying to go through and actually beat it. So
Dark Legacy, you said?
Yes.
Is that on this? What's the Gauntlet on the Nintendo 64?
That is
actually, you know what? I have the box. Yeah, it's Gauntlet Legends. I've heard those are pretty good. That Dark Legacy. I've heard that's a good game.
Yeah, it's if you've ever played a Gauntlet game, you know what to expect. It's hack and slash, and it's just fight through wave after wave of enemies. But this one, you've got a lot of hidden items that you have to find. Each boss has a hidden item in another stage that makes them easier to defeat when you get to them. So I'm actually going through and playing all the stages but the boss stages, and then I'm going to go through all at once and beat all the bosses. And I may actually film that and put it up on YouTube just because I think it'll be interesting to watch. So
that'd be cool. Okay. Before I say what I'm playing, I have a friend, Drew, who borrowed my Duke Nukem Forever game. And he just got done playing Bioshock 1 and 2, so he's sort of knows what a good game is right now.
Yeah.
And he sent me this text, and I'm gonna read it exactly as he sent it to me. And I'll see. I think unless you're a hardcore Duke fan, this is probably the response you're gonna get. And it's a little vulgar, So bear with me. He goes, dude, Duke Nukem is a fucking piece of shit. He had a typo here, but he says it takes forever, it takes the damn thing forever to load. It's corny as piss, and I could make a game with better graphics on a PowerPoint. And you know, he's right. It takes forever to load. The graphics are like a PS2 or Xbox game.
Yeah.
But I think if you're coming from a game like BioShock 2, it's kind of hard to play Duke. You would have had to go Duke and then to BioShock.
You might have a different outlook, yeah.
Because the thing is, Duke is not a bad game. People can tell you that it's bad. It's not bad. It's just not anything
not great.
To blow you away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's decent, but not great. It's not what people were expecting. You know, you have a development cycle like it did, and everyone's expecting the world. So.
Yeah. There's no way it could have lived up to that.
Right.
As unfortunate as that is, it was almost impossible.
But yeah, the load times are
it's bad. I don't know why it takes so long. I haven't seen load times that bad maybe since the PlayStation 1, and I haven't played that in forever.
What makes no sense to me is like you'll start a level, you'll have just loaded the level, and you know, if something happens, you die right at the beginning of the level. It's like it has to reload the whole level all over again. It's like I've never seen a game do that before, you know.
Yeah, and it uses the Unreal Engine, which is the same engine that Gears of War uses. And I would imagine that Gears of War uses an updated version.
Right.
And Duke uses a bad version. Now, I don't understand the entire engine scenario. I would imagine Epic Games, who makes Gears of War, makes the Unreal Engine. So I would imagine to use that specific engine, Gearbox or whoever would actually have to purchase the rights to use it. Is that right?
License it, basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wonder if, for cost-cutting reasons, they just picked a shitty one. You know,
right.
Like, they picked Windows 95 when Windows 7's been out for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what games am I playing? There are too many. Normally I'd say Halo Reach, but I don't have Xbox Live anymore. So I can't say that. But a current game I've been playing a lot of recently is Super Mario Galaxy 2. And do you have that game?
I do not. I've actually never played the Galaxy series at all.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, oddly enough.
Wow. Have you played Super Mario 64?
Yes, a little bit, not like in depth, but I mean I've played it.
Oh, okay. That's one of my all-time favorite games. Have you played Super Mario Sunshine?
No, actually, 64 was probably the last Mario game that I really played like enough to speak about.
Right. Okay. So Super Mario Sunshine, it's not bad by any stretch, but you can pass on it because it's very irritating. But Super Mario Galaxy, if you have a Wii. I think Super Mario Galaxy is $20 now. You need to get it. It's incredible. Yeah. It is incredible.
It's one of those, like, I got my Wii later on in the cycle, and so it's one of those that I just never picked up on, and I know I need to go back and play it, but I just haven't had the chance yet.
Yeah. It's definitely worth it. And the Super Mario Galaxy 2 is even better. In fact, this is the only time I actually looked up reviews a few days ago. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. I have never seen that.
Yeah, I don't think there's definitely not too many 10s floating around out there.
Yeah. And people say the Wii is garbage, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
And on the retro, well, actually on the current side as well, I've been playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and I know I've mentioned those two games before, but Castlevania Lords of Shadow is incredible.
That's the one that released like last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was last year or the year before. It's pretty recent, and it's kind of like God of War. And I've never played God of War, but from what I hear, it's a ripoff of like God of War, and there's some game called Chains of Olympus. Or no, Chains of Olympus is a God of War game. Isn't it?
A God of War, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's
PSP one.
It's there's another game that it rips off, and I can't think of the name right now, but it's apparently a ripoff of a bunch of games. But because I've never played those, I'm gonna go ahead and say Lords of Shadow is better. But it's definitely the only reason it appealed to me is because the Castlevania name.
Right.
So it sucked me in right away. But I played a demo on Xbox Live, and it's very fun. It's phenomenal. So retro side. Well, I've been playing some Punch-Out, but you know what? I have actually just popped into my NES, I think yesterday or this morning, is Tetris 2. Have you ever played Tetris 2?
There was a Tetris 2 on the Game Boy
yes.
that I have. I don't know if it's the same. It's got like a puzzle mode to it where you got to get the little guy to escape the room.
Nope, not the same.
Nope, different game. Okay.
There's a Tetris 2. There's a Tetris 2 on the NES and the Super NES, and I guess that's because it came out in like '93 or something. But basically, it's like a hybrid between the original Tetris and Dr. Mario.
Huh.
I've been playing it a lot. It's really fun, but something that never made sense to me is how can you make a sequel to a puzzle game?
Right.
I mean, if you do more of the same, there's no reason.
Not really.
So, I guess Tetris 2, I guess it's about what they could have done. It's definitely different than the original Tetris. And then there's like Tetris Attack, and there's like a bunch of different Tetris games now.
Yeah.
So Tetris 2 on the NES, you got to get that game. It's cheap too. It's really cheap, and it's fun. So I guess that's what we're playing. And now the last thing is, am I forgetting anything aside from the eBay thing? I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
No.
Okay. All right, so the last thing is some bizarre eBay listings. And Nick, I am going to go ahead. Are you on Facebook, Nick?
I am not, but
if you get on Facebook, I'll send you the links to these things via chat because I don't want to screw up the Skype.
Was it the same two that you sent me before?
Yeah, it was. Do you have them?
Okay. I should have them in the chat feed that we had before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
but I did go and look at them, and yeah, they are.
These are something. I'm gonna go ahead and open. And I'm experimenting with taking a picture of my computer screen, like with a feature on my computer, and then being able to use that as an image so I can show you guys what these look like, so I don't just describe them and sound like an idiot. But the first one is a Sonic 2 on the Genesis. And I want to go ahead and read the description of it before I say anything. So it says, the title is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then in parentheses, Sega Genesis 1992. And then there's a note under it that says, very rare Sega Genesis game, all caps with like 4 exclamation points. And I got to stop the guy there, because not only is Sonic the Hedgehog, it's probably the most common game on the system. I think I see NHL 96.
Right.
Less often than I see Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
But the thing is, he's in Canada, so maybe in Canada.
He is in Canada. That's right.
Super rare.
I don't know. But I don't want to tell you the price yet, but I want to go ahead and read the what he says about it. He says, you're looking at Sonic the Hedgehog 2, released in 92. This Genesis game is in very good condition, may have light scratches on the disc or case. And includes an English manual. This must be the super rare version of Sonic 2 that actually has a disc.
That is disc-based,
because
yeah.
I have never heard of that before. In an English manual. Wow, what do you know? I kind of expected it not to be in English, but what do you know? Okay, so what does this guy want for a complete copy of Sonic 2 that's in very good condition? The disc, quote unquote, is mint. He wants $35.99.
As a buy it now, though, so you don't have to bid on it.
Now, there's a make offer suggestion, so if you think that price is a little high, you could make an offer. And a funny thing, I was searching for these eBay listings, and a few months ago there was this eBay listing I saw for a loose cart of Sonic 2. Guess how much this guy wanted?
$27.
$50.
$50 for a loose cart?
$50, and there was a make offer button.
That's awesome.
I don't know what goes through people's heads. So number 1 is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Number 2 is a game I've never played, and I know for a fact it's not this rare, is 10-Yard Fight on Nintendo.
On the Nintendo, yes. It's one of those classic Nintendo titles with the 8-bit graphics on the cover. And
yeah, the black box games.
Yes.
Yeah. I find this one even more funny because he says 10-Yard Fight Nintendo 1985, and then the note says, all caps, impossibly rare Nintendo game, 26-year-old game. Wow.
Yeah, look real close, and you might notice something funny. It's the same guy.
Yes, it is the same guy. I went to his channel, his thing, and looked at his thing, all his stuff, and
so maybe again in Canada, they can't get NES games. In Canada.
I mean, 10-Yard Fight is. I've heard it's a crappy football game. I've never played it, but
it's a very rough representation. It's about 1,000 times worse than Tech Mobile could ever.
Yeah. So. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the description on this one. It says, you are looking at 10-Yard Fight, released in 1985. This rare Wow. This rare Nintendo game is in good condition, may have light scratches on the cassette or box, and includes the English manual. Also includes a very... I didn't catch this the first time. Also includes a very rare plastic box pouch. Now, I assume that means the black sleeve that you can buy 800 of for $1.
Yeah,
that's what he means. And the price on this, well, it's the same as Sonic 2, $35.99.
$35.99.
With $5.99 shipping. So I guess if you want a copy of 10-Yard Fight and a copy of Sonic 2, you can go ahead and drop $80.
$80 for those classic rare titles.
$80 shipped. For a couple of,
does he give free shipping?
A couple of classics. Nope, it's
nope. Got to pay for shipping. Okay.
$5.99 international flat rate. That's, I mean, I don't get it. I understand people.
It's one of those weird trends on eBay where people really like to overvalue certain things. Like, I guess they're hoping to catch somebody that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Mm-hmm. And like, oh my gosh, it's rare. Let me bid it. Let me pay $36 for 10-Yard Fight just because this guy says it's rare.
He says it's impossibly rare, so I better take this opportunity.
I better not. That's what they're going for. It's like these same people that, like, especially when like a new system's coming out, they'll put a listing up for the the box or a picture of the system. Oh, I don't know if you've ever seen those.
I was in 7th grade. We're going to go back a few years. In 7th grade, this kid printed out printed out an eBay page that was for a PSP, and at the bottom of the PSP it said in the fine print it said that you're not actually bidding on a PSP, it's just a picture.
It's just a picture, yeah.
Yep. So I have heard of that. And just a quick little thing here. I actually eBayed 10-Yard Fight, and the first one that comes up is a bid for 99 cents.
Right. Yeah, it's by no means rare, except in Canada. So.
And yeah, well, let's see where this guy's based. He's in Colorado, so it's a pretty common game in Colorado.
Which makes it, even if it was like super rare in Canada, just buy an American one.
Yeah, and here's a buy it now for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing what some people try and pull on eBay.
You can choose more. You can actually search where it comes from.
Where it comes from.
Well, I can't do Canada. I can do North America or the United States only. And I did North America, and that didn't really help matters. So yeah, I mean that guy's something else. And
if you look at like he's sold stuff for regular prices. So I don't know.
Has he? I don't know if I've gone to his thing yet.
Yeah, I clicked on it just out of sheer curiosity. Like, is this guy really this dumb? Does he do this with everything? But he has sold like, Xbox 360 games for like $15. So it's not like he's completely clueless.
Well, his eBay emblem is Wii, Xbox, and PlayStation 3. So maybe he doesn't know much about retro games.
Yeah.
Items for sale. Yeah, I'm looking at him now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's reasonable. It's like you're going through reasonable prices, then you hit 10-Yard Fight, and you just about fall over.
Yeah.
Wow, he's got Super Ghouls and Ghosts for the Super Nintendo for $20. That's kind of a lot. Oh, he's got Punch-Out! Oh my God! Did you see Punch-Out?
No.
$50.
$50 for Punch-Out. That's a steal.
It's Mike Tyson's too. Man, this one's so rare. It's 24 years old.
That is classic.
I can't.
You could do a whole show on this guy, really.
We could, yeah. And this guy's name is The Weird Buyer, if anybody wants to check him out. No spaces, The Weird Buyer. Or you'll see it, I guess, if I can get a picture of the thing.
Should be The Weird Seller.
Yeah. The Weird Seller. The absolutely spontaneously ridiculous seller. So, I just got a Facebook message, and I'm going to disregard it. I didn't even mean to be on Facebook. But before we wrap this up, I have a quick eBay story. While we're on the topic of bizarre eBay auctions. I sell a few things on eBay, and I had a few things up, and one of the things I had up was a box only for Ocarina of Time, and the guy won it, some guy won it, and it ended like last night at like midnight, so I was asleep. So this morning I go and check it. I send the guy an invoice, and I get an error message telling me to input a proper shipping method, and that doesn't make sense because I already had it in. Turns out the guy is from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
It says right on my thing, right on my little bar on the right that says where I ship to. It says United States.
Right.
And this numbnuts bids on it, wins it, of course, and now it's going to cost a motherload to ship. So I send this guy a message and I tell him that I only ship to the United States, and I went ahead and went on the post office website to see how much it would cost me to ship in a small flat rate box to Brazil. It's going to cost me $13. So I went ahead and messaged this guy and I said, you know what, I got to send you an invoice with shipping being $13. And
Right.
I think the final bid ended up being around $11. So he's going to pay $24 for a box only for
a box of-
Ocarina of Time. And this guy gave me hell. Like he didn't personally give me hell, but I went through hell because I called eBay up saying, because there was another guy that bid on it, and he lived in like Colorado or Ohio or something, and so I could offer him a second chance, and I didn't want to do that because I think if I offered the other guy the guy that lives in Brazil can still leave me feedback,
and leave you
odds
negative
are it'd
feedback.
be negative, and I have 100%, and I don't want that happening. So now I have to ship to Brazil, and I really don't want to because I don't live in Brazil. I've never been to Brazil. I don't know how things are run in Brazil. I know there's a lot of soccer in Brazil, but
Yeah.
that's about it. And I don't want them losing it, and then bam, my feedback.
Right. Yeah.
It is
It
shot.
puts more hassle on you than it's worth
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
for a box.
For a damn Zelda box. I mean, do they still have? This is the NTSC version. Is that what they have in Brazil? Don't they have like a different version?
I don't know. Was the N64 might have been region free? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't have any.
'Cause I don't think they could put region locks on cartridges. But I don't know.
Trying to think if anything was region. Well, if the Famicom and the Super Famicom were sort of half-ass region locked. Like
Right, but they were different designed, cartridges, I guess.
there was a I was watching a YouTube video right now, and apparently you can actually play Super Famicom games on your Super Nintendo.
I have heard that before, yeah.
All you have to do is there are two prongs on the inside of your Super Nintendo. There's like these two little bumps like on
Bust
the
them
back.
off.
Yeah, if you take those things off, the cart slides right in. And this idiot on the video was not taking those things out of his Super Nintendo, but instead he was carving holes in the back of his Famicom cart so they would fit.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah. And then somebody commented on it and said, like, why don't you just take the prongs off inside the Super Nintendo? He's like, oh, shit,
That's a much better idea.
Wow. That's terrible. Man, people. I mean, I don't get it. Okay, so that's all I've got written down. We did the news, retro game of the week, and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I think it went pretty well for the first time.
Yeah, definitely.
How long are we? I don't know how long this has been. Probably close to like 45 minutes or an hour or so. I think my Skype time says an hour, but we had that
We had the snafu in the
interruption there. Snafu. There's another Intellivision game that's just like an Atari game. It's just like Surround on the
Snake, right?
2600. It's funny that you said that. So that's it. Yeah. I don't know. I think we did pretty well. So go ahead and leave comments what you think. We're gonna try and get it, as big as we can. That's what she said. We're gonna try and get it, I was watching The Office all day, so it's kind of in there. But I was, but yeah, I think we need to try and get as many views on these as we can. And
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed making it. I think we can make this a weekly thing on, was today Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, Monday works great for me because school's starting up, but I don't have class on Tuesday, so I can do whatever the hell I want on a Monday night. Monday night's my new Saturday night.
Yeah, there you go.
Lamest night of the week is now the best night.
But yeah, please leave us comments, feedback. Let us know if anything we can improve on and what you guys want to see from us, and we'll try and keep this thing going.
Yeah, and if you live in Brazil, no offense. No offense,
No offense to Brazilians.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for me. For Neoflynn, I'm Cobradvs, and this was RattleCast, episode 1. I'll try and come up with a nice like subtitle name for it. Right now, I have written down pilot. That's the subtitle, pilot.
The perfect subtitle.
We could do like the Seinfeld theme, and just like every episode could be called like the something.
Yeah.
the Punch Out.
There
or
you go.
something like that. So before we get going, rambling on too long, I guess we can go ahead and end it here. So stay tuned for next week. Next Tuesday, I guess it'll be uploaded. And yeah, go ahead or whatever. Take care.
And we'll see you next time, guys.